All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another market close. It is Friday, April 5th, 3:46 p.m. It's been a really interesting day. We have had a plethora of things happen this morning. Just a plethora of things happen this morning. I mean, quite frankly, we've had many things happen. One could say that we had a plethora of things happen this morning. If you missed the market open, you would know that we definitely had a plethora of things happen. I'm just going to get this part of the stream over with so we get it done right now. But for those that missed the market open, this is what happened at the end of the market open. And I'll tell you what everyone said on Twitter when I asked people on what actually happened in the market open. Here we go. Word of the day. I know this word. I actually know this word. Plethora.
Plethora.
Are you kidding me, dude? It's plethora. It is not plethora.
Plethora.
No, it is plethora. Dude, okay. Honestly, put in the chat if it's plethora or if it's
plethora.
Just put a 1 if I'm right and put a 2 if you think dictionary.com is right. Put a 1 if you think I'm right. Put it because it is not plethora. It is plethora, not plethora.
Plethora.
I have never heard it as plethora. I'm not trolling, dude. I'm not trolling. I am not trolling. Okay, so then we asked Google what Google thought. And, Google didn't help either. Where's this shit? How do we say? Okay.
Plethora.
It's not plethora. That sigh right there, that was the sigh from like the depths of my soul. So I asked people on Twitter, right? I told you guys in the market open, I was going to ask people on Twitter, see what they say and see what people think. About 55 people responded. And the responses on Twitter, I basically said, hey, do you guys think I'm wrong? Or do you think, Google and dictionary are right? Like, which one do you think? Pretty much everyone said I was wrong, but I still think I'm right. So, I know I said I would ask Twitter and then come back with more data and more information on what would happen. I asked Twitter. I got more data. I got more information. It was not the type of data or information I was looking to procure or inquire. I still think everybody's wrong. So I'm staying sort of to I'm just believing in myself here, and believing in myself has gotten me to where I am today, and I believe it will get me to where I want to be in the future. So having said that, it's plethora. All right, let's move on. Tesla. So today's been a pretty wild day in the context of Tesla, and we got to discuss what's going on with Tesla. So let's start from the beginning of the day. Tesla started off on the day relatively flat, 169, 170, not that crazy. And right now it's at 165, down 3.28% of the day. Now, what happened during the day, which got Tesla to fall all the way down to 160? At one point, it was going to go down to 159. Well, at what time did I post this? This was at 11:33 a.m. This is basically when the drop happened. So call it like 11:15, the drop happened. There was a Reuters article that came out. The Reuters article essentially said the Tesla Model 2 is being scrapped. The thing that they spent the past 2 years gearing up for, factories getting ready. The idea was that they were going to be able to compete with the Honda Civic, the Toyota Camry, Corolla. It was going to be a mid-sized car with FSD in the future that anyone could pay for, $25,000. And basically Tesla was going to take everybody's lunch, because why would you buy a Honda Civic or a Toyota Corolla when you could pay $25,000 and get an elite vehicle like a Tesla? Reuters says, hey, that's not happening anymore. Reuters says it's gone. Reuters says we are not doing Tesla is not going to be doing that type of vehicle anymore. And the street reacts to that pretty aggressively, right? Pretty aggressively. The street's basically like, well, wait a second. If Tesla's not going to do that anymore, here's the article right here. You guys should be able to see it. Yes. Tesla scraps low-cost car plans amid fierce Chinese EV competition. So the idea was Tesla's canceled the long-promised inexpensive car that investors have been counting on to drive its growth into a mass market automaker. The automaker will continue developing self-driving taxis on the same vehicle platform, the source said. So the idea from this Reuters article was that Elon is going all in to ROBOTAXIs. Chinese competition is becoming too hard, and they're not going to focus on the Model 2, basically, vehicle that, the street, if you're a Tesla bull, you really wanted them to be able to do that. Now, I said I think this news kind of feels fake. It didn't feel real to me. They already have too many factories. Like this headline itself was just like, what? Like it was one of those headlines that was just like, what's going on here? That doesn't feel real. And then about when was this posted? 11:38. So about 5 minutes after this one, Elon says, yeah, they're lying. So that's why it's been such a crazy day, because Elon says they're lying, which kind of helped recover the stock. Right now, the stock at 165, the stock did go to about 160. It opened at 168 in the morning, and that helped create a little bit of a V-shaped recovery there. But in general, the market's now kind of scared, because the market's like, well, wait a second. Are you like, what sources is Reuters looking to be able to get this information? Because it feels very weird. As you can see, there's the drop right there. So we opened the day at 169, boom, all the way to 160.52. Then that green candle right up here. There's a lot of money that was made and lost on this V shape. A lot of money that was lost from 169 to 160, and a ton of money that was made on that green candle when people bought that dip, either because they thought it was fake news or because, they just took advantage of the opportunity the market created. Now the market's wondering, well, is there some portion of this article that even if the broader message is wrong, there is a hint of it that's real, because Reuters is supposedly a respected news source and that they're not just making up stuff to make up stuff. That is the allegation that the business community would say is fair about Reuters, and that maybe some of the sources are signaling that, yeah, like Tesla's not that excited anymore about the Model 2 car, even if it's not scrapping plans. So Elon's technically not lying when he's saying that Reuters is wrong, but maybe there's more to it than meets the eye. I personally think that Reuters just had bad sources, and they published an article on a Friday where the market tends to sell off anyway to try to get some cheap clicks, and it backfired because, it seems like from Elon's perspective, if you believe Elon, they were wrong. And it makes no logical sense for Tesla to get rid of their Model 2 vehicle. In fact, pretty much every Tesla bull that I've been seeing on Twitter, they would be extremely upset if the future was now robo-taxis and not the $25,000 car. The main reason why people would be upset is because robo-taxis are going to take a long time. It relies on FSD, but not only does it rely on FSD, it relies on regulation, and it relies on kind of an entire new paradigm shift of how people think of driving, which eventually will happen, but will it happen enough, or will it happen before people want to spend $25,000 on a car? Probably not. It will take 5-6 years before that really becomes mainstream. And so that would definitely hurt the stock in the short term. You could imagine that really getting institutions to be upset and just dumping it and moving on to other stuff. But Elon said it's fake. And if you believe in Elon, then you believe that indeed is fake. Inbound says 3 employees said this. Let's hear from them. Yeah, it's really interesting, dude, because if the employees tipped off Reuters, then, does Reuters have an inside scoop that a lot of us aren't thinking about? But in general, again, 2 + 2 = 4. Like this thing doesn't equal 4 when you add it up together. This makes no sense for Tesla to spend all of this money to be able to create a smaller vehicle in terms of production facilities, factories, etc., and then get ready to ramp that up, which eventually will by the end of, I think, mid 2025. That's when they plan to really roll it out. And then scrap that to go all in on robotaxis, unless FSDs become so amazing that robotaxis are actually going to happen. And then Kathy Wood's right about this $2,000 price target, because her thesis is primarily on robotaxis. That's possible, but it's probably not happening, which means you need that $25,000 car, which means if you sold your Tesla shares at 160 today, it sucks, because for retail investors who sold on this news that was fake news, people lost a lot of money. And that's not really the best thing to see in the broader equity markets on a Friday. So there you go. That's the update on Tesla. 165 right now, down 3.35%. I think now a lot of people are wondering, well, wait a second, is Tesla actually, is there truth to the story? And I think over the next couple of weeks, we'll figure out what's going on. I personally think the story's fake. It doesn't make any sense. I believe Elon's here. And maybe this is also a really good dip, because the market's going to take advantage of this, given that $25,000 car will be in production. Amazon trying to make its way to the 52-week highs at 185, or the all-time highs. 185 right now, 188 is the all-time high. Amazon, just an amazing day, up 2.84%. SoFi 740 up 1.19%. Palantir 22.95. Now we did get to 23.30 in the middle of the day, so that was really exciting to see it pump all the way back to $23. I thought that had a chance of happening. Falling below right now of $23 at $22.95. Not too bad, up 2% on the day. Dip was bought. Let's just see if they can retain that dip. I did buy some Palantir today, and I bought some Robinhood today. 1840 right now, down 0.3%. So I bought both Palantir and Robinhood. Those purchases will be deemed as good or bad timing based on CPI data next week. Maybe CPI tanks Palantir and Robinhood even more as the market gets tanked. If CPI comes in hot, if CPI comes in mildly okay, maybe the market pumps and these dip buys were not that bad. So we'll see next week. CPI is going to be very, very important for the market. But those were the purchases that I made today. Arc Innovation 47.12, Ulta Beauty 445, Google 153, Oracle 125, Spotify 310. Spotify up 5% of the day. Spotify for the week. What is Spotify for the week? 295 on April 4th. Today's what, April 5th? Wow, 310. That's just incredible, dude. That's just incredible. And it was even lower than that right here. 282. Wow, it was 282 on April 3rd. 282 to 310. Up 28 points in 2 days on Spotify. Absolutely incredible. So if you own Spotify, you've had a nice journey this week and you've done well. The reason for this is, again, is because they increased prices on their subscriptions. And the street is happy for that. Classical Guitarista said, added 100 shares of Palantir today. Yeah, let me know what you guys added or sold today. Let me know in the chat what anyone added or sold today. I'm Beneficial says, how far can DXYZ run? I don't know why DXYZ is running, quite frankly. Again, this is an ETF that is primarily built off of startups. Yeah, it's up 80% today. Again, this feels kind of meme-ish, quite frankly. I don't understand why an ETF about SpaceX and Anthropic and these startups is up 80%. Like, none of those startups have announced anything that makes them more valuable. Therefore, the ETF's not valuable. So this feels very meme-ish. I'd be very just like cautious playing with this ETF because you never know what could happen. But yeah, this thing's up 80%. We talked about this a couple days ago. If you got in, you're up. You might want to consider thinking about this one because, again, an ETF filled with private positions in startups. None of those startups have announced anything that would make them more valuable. You don't even know the valuation that this ETF bought those startups in. This is becoming a trend, these ETFs that buy private startups and then give retail investors allocation to it. You guys know how I feel about that. I just feel that if you're going to buy a startup, you have to actually have equity in it. You can't just have a proxy play because you just never know kind of what you're buying when you're doing it through one of these types of ETFs. So it's up 80%. It's just, I don't know why it's up 80%, which again signals a little bit of a Donald Trump Reddit type of move that's happening on this one right now. So that's what we got right there in the context of that one. Oh, DJT's up today as well, 12%. Wow. Did not know that. I didn't look at this one. Well, it's down 12%. Sorry, it's not up to it. Yeah, so it's again, it was up at like $70 last week. Now it's at 40. I'm Beneficial says, I agree, but I wish I knew more. Yeah, look, if you're up on the ETF, it's not like I'm saying you should take profits. I'm just saying you should think about it because this is one of those things that probably, who knows why it's up, right? It's just up to be up. I mean, I'm sure once this thing went up 30% yesterday, all of the retail investors got notifications and they started piling into it. So it seems like it got memed up. Maybe it can keep running, but it will be a little volatile given how it's happening. Given how it's looking like it's evolving right now. Katie says, I bought more Palantir and SoFi this week. Yeah, I think a lot of people ended up buying a little bit more Palantir and SoFi. I bought SoFi at like $7.15 earlier this week. I brought some more options. And I just bought more Palantir shares today. So I think it was a good week to get into the dip. We'll see next week. Next week solidifies if this was a good dip buy. Fundstrat Tom Lee also said that we are buying the dip on this week's kind of correction. And we'll see next week if CPI makes that a good dip buy. 4 p.m. Friday, April 5th. The market is now closed, and there's been a plethora of things that have happened today in the market. All right, let's see how the market turns out for today. And then we got to cover a bunch of different stuff going on in the job market and all of that good stuff. Also, we didn't do Q&A this morning, so we'll do it at the end of today's stream. Usually every Friday we do some type of Q&A at the end, so we'll do it at the end of today's stream. And we can stick around till the end for that. Ricardo says he bought Palantir and Nvidia. Yeah, so the Nvidia dip was interesting. So let's go look at some of these stocks as they've ended the day. So let's go to Mag 7. Apple up today a little bit. Microsoft up 1.83%. Meta, we didn't even talk about Meta. Meta's all-time high. Meta's at an all-time high. 527, 1.34 trillion. And see, this is what I mean. When I look at a company like Meta get to an all-time high, I get very excited. Not because I have Meta, which unfortunately I don't have Meta, but because it's a good company being rewarded. The market's looking for growth. Meta's giving them growth. Their numbers are probably going to crush in a couple of weeks when they announce it. They're getting a dividend. They're doing share buybacks, like everything you want to see. It's an election year, so advertising from the political perspective has already probably started. And the market's rewarding this company. They should be rewarding this company. And I mean, PE at 26 is not that expensive either. It's not that crazy. So I don't know how much upside is left in Meta, but I'm happy that the market's rewarding it. And it goes to show that there is enough liquidity to find companies like Meta and give them some value. Google, 153, up 1.3%. They had a nice rebound from the past couple of weeks. Amazon, 185. That one is a big one. A lot of people were waiting for it to get to that 188 type of range. Nvidia 880. This one fell during the week. It started at 900, ended at 880, but still the fact that it's holding these high 800 levels going into earnings, you probably want Nvidia to not be at 950 going into earnings and to be kind of closer to this 850, 860 range, because then it has room to run. Remember, right before their earnings, like literally a couple hours before their earnings last time, Nvidia was 654 or 674, and it bumped up all the way to 900. Now at 880, I think that's good room to breathe going into earnings in the next few weeks. And then Tesla, 164.90, down 3.6% of the day based on that fake news article that we had today. Bay Ray says he's on the Meta train, up 5x since November 2022. It's really astonishing, right? A company that fell 90% and that then recovered 500% in the course of 18 months. I mean, it's pretty damn incredible, dude. So if you're in Meta and if you're up, at any capacity based on when you got in, especially if you got in that low 2022 era, I mean, congrats. Like it was a hell of a buy. It took a lot of guts buying Meta at that time, and you deserve it. So Meta, just incredible recovery today. Coinbase down about 3.4%. CleanSpark down 1.83%. So I got kind of lucky on CleanSpark. I sold out of my CleanSpark at 1630. You guys knew I had options on it. I made 10%, so I made $1,000. So I took the 6,000 from CleanSpark. I had 5,000 in it, and I threw it into Robinhood at $14. So I bought more Robinhood options with my CleanSpark profits. And when I sold it at 1630, I felt like I was making a mistake because I was like, well, I know Bitcoin's going to run and this thing's probably going to go higher. And technically, I mean, it was not the best timing because the thing ran to 24, but the CleanSpark gains have not been as sustainable as some of the Robinhood gains because Robinhood actually announced products and services that the market liked, and they got the price target upgrades and all the like official stuff you needed. The reason it was hard for me to hold CleanSpark is because it ran up from $2 to $16.80 when I sold it. So I just kind of felt like, well, this thing's already up 800%. It's not like it can't run anymore, but it's going to be a little bit more volatile. That was the gut feeling I had, and that's when I sold it. And so this one has been hit. The at-the-money offering really hurt them badly, and then Bitcoin just not being able to maintain that 70,000 level right now, 67,468. That also has been very volatile for CleanSpark. So that one's down on the day. MicroStrategy, wow, MicroStrategy went down 10%. This was at 1650. This was at 1650 at the end of the market open. I did not know this one was down. So that one got hit. I don't know why that one got hit because Bitcoin basically was at the same price it was at when I ended the stream this morning. So not sure. Maybe there's some news on that one I got to look at. But MicroStrategy, yeah, that took a nasty hit. 10% down on the day. Robinhood down about 0.27% of the day. Ethereum 3,200. Bitfarms down 3.93%. And then Marathon down about 0.22% as well. Semis plays relatively green today. Taiwan was up today. SMCI was red. NVIDIA was green, bounced from yesterday. Or sorry, AMD was green, bounced from yesterday. And then NVIDIA was green as well, up 2.45% on the day. So overall, nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy today, even though in the morning it did feel like we were going to have a bad dip, but that seemed to recover. So the jobs report that came out this morning, for those that didn't see it, we had 330,000 jobs added. And that was like good, but it was a little bit harder to interpret what it's going to mean for inflation. So let's get an update in terms of what the jobs report means for interest rate cuts, where that's going to go, and then we'll keep going from there.
Was it this morning's job report, or has this kind of been trickling through your head this week as we're getting more comments from Fed members and, of course, Kashkari last night?
Well, we've been sitting on the fence on 2 and 3 for about 2 weeks now, and so this just tipped us over the fence. And I agree with Steve that the CPI numbers are more important than the jobs numbers because Chair Powell himself said he welcomes strong employment numbers, but embedded in those employment numbers are also a tick up in hours worked. That's great. That's more earnings, but that keeps the underlying demand very strong in the economy. And again, the numbers in the service sector are so strong, 2/3 of the gains in those big three: leisure and hospitality, healthcare, and state and local governments. That,
So as you can see, unemployment rate fell to 3.8% in March. Remember in February, it was at 3.9. Markets kind of liked it because that means inflation's coming down. Fed's going to cut rates. We added too many jobs and it went down to 3.8, 330,000 jobs. Now, maybe that's going to be revised and we didn't actually add that many jobs. But so far, based on the data we're looking at, job growth was incredible. I mean, we added a plethora of jobs in the month of March. So really, the Fed can't say, yeah, we need to cut, because cutting would not be making sense right now, given that everyone has a job. And so that is one thing that the market struggled with. Now, again, the market went down on this news, and by like 10 a.m., the market kind of interpreted. That's when we saw the reversal of Palantir, Robinhood, all these stocks. And it just went higher because I think the news finally got baked in that, like, actually, if people have jobs, they'll spend money. If people will spend money, earnings will be good. So, like, we should buy stocks, even if inflation is a little sticky. And that's what we had in the context of the jobs report this morning. Also, I forgot to talk about this as soon as the stream started for the market close, because we had to talk about the Tesla news. But did anyone here feel an earthquake at all? I think this was, I tweeted this at 10:28. So we ended the market open probably at like 10:20-ish, 10:25 from what I understand. At 10:28, New Jersey had an earthquake, and I experienced my first earthquake before. It turned out to be a New York City, Philly earthquake as well. And it was a 5.5 magnitude earthquake across the eastern part of the United States. Here's the actual picture right here. Yeah, there it is. This is the places it affected. You guys felt it? Yup, in Long Branch, my house shaking up in Bergen County, in New York, in Philly, a little tremor. So for me, I felt it, and for a second, I thought it was my laundry machine, dude. I'm not gonna. I was like, damn, dude, did I put that many clothes in the machine? Like, this is like, what's going on? Because sometimes that thing moves a little bit, and I was like, yeah, but a laundry machine can't move the whole house. And then so I got up and I looked outside, and the whole like street was shaking, and I was like, okay, so it's an earthquake. And so I ran downstairs, and I was like, all right, I need to get my mom. We got to get prepared. Things are about to start falling. You know, glasses are about to start crashing. And then in like literally 6 seconds, it was done. So it was the first earthquake I've ever experienced. Apparently 5.5 magnitude. The people in California are laughing at us pretty aggressively because they feel this every other week. But this was the first time, if you're on the eastern coast, like, yeah, Eric says he felt it in northern Massachusetts. We don't feel earthquakes. You know, we don't deal with earthquakes. That doesn't happen around here. Like, yeah, we don't have the best weather. We don't have California weather, but we don't have earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes. I mean, we have some hurricanes here and there. We have some heavy rain, but in general, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, New Jersey, like these areas are not that prone to really bad weather. But today was an exception. Today was indeed an exception. And so we had an earthquake today. Amit thought I can feel the stock market right now. I could just imagine, dude, like Jay Powell giving a speech. Imagine that happened during the Fed conference and Jay Powell himself was in New York and he was shaking. Like, could you imagine he was like, you know, we are cutting rates and then everything shook, or we are raising rates and everything. Like, that would just be the craziest thing ever if that actually happened. But no, it happened on a relatively boring, 10:30 a.m. on a Friday. Nothing too crazy. But it happened at a part of the world where we don't typically get earthquakes ever. We don't have one every other week. That's hyperbole. I know, I'm kidding. I know you don't have one every other week. But in general, the West Coasters they know what an earthquake feels like. Whereas the East Coasters like us, it was new to me. I was like, that's the first time I would say since I've been alive, dude. Maybe I've had an earthquake and I was too little to, but even my mom, dude, she's lived in New Jersey, for like 20, 30 years. She's never felt an earthquake like that today. And so she was pretty shook because she was just downstairs and the entire house started shaking and she did not expect that. My sister was sleeping, dude. She was sleeping. She did not give a, she's on spring break this week, so she did not care. Just like she didn't care about the Vlad interview. Just like she didn't care that, I went to the Robinhood Gold event. She didn't care about anything. She was just sleeping. It's just, some people are just in their own world. But there was a big earthquake today and I'm happy everyone is safe. It didn't seem like there was any major damage as well. like on the East Coast, because it was 5 seconds. It wasn't that crazy, but it definitely was 5 seconds that everybody felt. David says, I've been through a 7.7 and a 6.4. Yeah, this was my first 5.5. Surge says 5.5 isn't too bad. It's not enough to really destroy anything. Yeah, and nothing was destroyed, thankfully. But I'm curious now, as digital content says, is Mother Earth telling us something? Is Mother Earth actually telling us something? And are we going to, I'm also curious, is this because of climate change? Is this because of weather patterns changing? I mean, this is the hottest year on Earth, our hottest year on record for planet Earth. And that has happened like for the past 10 years in a row. Like, it hasn't felt like winter in the East Coast. I don't know what you guys think, but in New Jersey, we've had maybe a couple days where it was cold, but like it hasn't felt like winter. I think we had 1 or 2 snow days, and then it's been everything else. So we can tell the Earth is heating up. At least on the Northeast, it's not cold anymore. It's April, and even in March, we barely felt the cold. So maybe this is a result of weather patterns shifting, and either that's man-made or that's natural, whatever it may be. But maybe things are changing from a planet perspective, and we all have to adjust to that over the coming years, based on how that's going to turn out. But definitely we saw something crazy today. The eclipse is coming on Monday. Yeah, that's another thing. We're having an eclipse on Monday. That's another crazy thing, a solar eclipse on Monday as well. Let's look at some of the SaaS companies here today. We talked about Snowflake this morning as well. Snowflake ended the day up 1.58%. Palantir again, 22.98 after hours. So Palantir was a champ today, up 2.11%. MongoDB, 362.92. CRM, 301. CRM was up from about 255 this morning. Confluent, 29.32. Intuit was up. Zscaler was up. All these SaaS companies were up and were doing well. And the question I think now for a lot of these SaaS companies is, can they crush on their earnings numbers to be able to really legitimize the market premium that has been given to them? Let's look at Palo Alto Networks, because we haven't looked at this one in a while. PAWN, or PANW. 269. So that one is still down from the earnings drop, about 30%. Nancy Pelosi did buy a lot more of that, but that one has not recovered since then. Occidental Petroleum, this is also a very important one. This is at 52-week highs, $69.26 on the day. The person who has a lot of Oxy is none other than Mr. Warren Buffett, with 5% of his entire portfolio in Occidental Petroleum. He's been buying this thing hand over fist over the past couple of weeks. Again, Buffett got it right. Oil is up. That's why Oxy is up. I don't think anyone expected Oxy to go up this dramatically, or else, maybe people would have bought some oil, but Buffett did. And oil going up led to this one getting a lot higher. And that's what we got in the context of Occidental Petroleum right now, starting to get much more momentum. So a lot of the oil stocks have got a momentum as well. XOM. Oh, I think we have oil and gas in the playlist. Do we have that? Yeah, oil and gas. Look at that. Pretty much green across the board. So Phillips was up 0.05% on the day. Chevron up 0.57%. Shell up 1.47%. Oxy up 2.4%. Exxon up 1.37%. All of the oil stocks trading at close to 52-week highs. I wonder if that's worth buying now that they've at 52-week highs, or if oil is going to be on its way down, if it's peaking at $90 a barrel. The most we had was 94 back in November with oil, and then it went down to like the high 60s. Right now we're at 90. I would imagine if, Biden can get some stuff done in the Middle East, maybe that can calm back down to the low 70s, hopefully by the end of the month. But maybe the oil companies are a little pricey right now if you're trying to get into them, because the run on oil has already happened as well. Palantir 23. Oh, you guys weren't seeing it. Sorry. I was showing you the other one. Here, this is what I was looking at. I thought this was sharing. So there's Exxon up 1.37%, Occidental up 2.4%, Shell up 1.48%, and then Chevron up 0.57% as well. Palantir $23 after hours. That's amazing. There we go. Again, the deal that Palantir got with Oracle, I talked to a couple people over the past 2 days, and let me read a text from someone that I know who works in the data space. So this is what he told me about this deal. He says, the Oracle news is very interesting, as Oracle does not execute on partnerships like this very often. I used to work there, and the Oracle mentality is that their tech is the best and they don't partner. Oracle is also very cagey about sharing customer data with vendors and partners. Oracle doesn't even use Google Suite products, which is just as painful as an employee. Oracle must have been losing government contracts and turned to Palantir. Great news for us. That's someone who worked at Oracle, and that's what he texted me about yesterday night. Now, the interesting thing about that is he's kind of correct, at least from one perspective on this, just from an outsider perspective, because Palantir didn't publish this news. Oracle did. This was on Oracle's website. So the fact that Oracle, that doesn't do deals often, as per this person's statement, is publishing a deal with Palantir means that because they don't do deals often, maybe they wanted to actually show off the partnership they're doing here with Palantir. And so that's the exciting part when it comes to Oracle. And now I think we just have to wait for the market to really bake in that deal, because I don't think the market has baked in that deal yet. I think they tried to, and then Kashkari had to open his big mouth, and then the market was not able to do it. But we'll see over the next few weeks if the market's able to actually understand what that deal means. Eric says, I can't switch to Robinhood yet because they don't have tax lot selector tool to use when selling. Any updates on its availability? I actually don't know no to that. I know a lot of people really hate that Robinhood doesn't allow you to sell certain lots of shares that you buy. I'm assuming one day that feature will come in. I don't know when. You know what's funny? Vlad actually tweeted over the day I released the interview. I also quote tweeted a tweet that Vlad made right after the interview. And what he said right here, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but basically what he said, he did a thread on everything they've done in Q1, right? So Robinhood app really hit the ground running in Q1 2024. Here are a few highlights. And at the end of the tweet, he said, we're nowhere close to finish. Stay tuned for big things coming in Q2. I don't know what that means. I do think that indicates futures trading is going to come to the platform. We know they acquired one of those futures companies for a couple $100 million, and that kind of went under the radar. So that's probably coming. And what's also probably coming is increased desktop trading view, because the desktop trading for Robinhood kind of sucks in comparison to like Trading View or even Webull. So if they change those two things, maybe they're going to add things like tax lot selling, but I don't know when that's going to happen. When that does happen, I think a lot of people would be happy, because it is kind of annoying that you can't pick which shares you're going to sell for Robinhood. Amit, are you scared of X getting into finance and disrupting Robinhood, Vlad versus Elon? Absolutely not. Like, look, X is great. Twitter is awesome, but they're not, dude, the amount of financial regulations it takes to build a fully fledged product that actually brings financial services to the consumer, it's very difficult. And I mean, even if X allows you to send money to each other, that's fine, because Robinhood is not in that business. But I don't think X is going to go the credit card route. I don't think they're going to go the brokerage route. I don't think you're going to be able to buy stocks on X. That's like a very difficult thing to get done, and the licenses and all that. Elon could try to do that. I think it's going to be a little hard. And then at the end of the day, the cool thing about being a Robinhood shareholder now is like, I don't care, because I believe Robinhood is a moat. You know, for the longest, I think the argument was they don't have a moat, they can be copied. I'm like, dude, even if X tries to copy them, like, and that's what I asked Vlad about on the podcast. It's very difficult to copy a product experience. And if you can't copy the product experience, you're just not going to get people to join. Also, the 1% deposit match means good luck trying to get people to deposit money onto Twitter, which is not really the most trustworthy platform to deposit your money, when they're not even giving you 1% on that money. The only platform on the planet that's giving you 1% on every dollar, you put in $1 million, you get 10,000, is Robinhood. And so someone asked me today, so, you know, I said, I'm buying Robinhood and Palantir this morning. Someone said, hey, are you buying shares, or like, is this a trade for you? Like, how are you thinking about it? And I've concluded, I think I'm pretty much going long on the company now. Like, originally this started as a trade, and I have a lot of options that are eventually going to have to be sold as a trade. But the product announcement and roadmap to me made it easy enough to say, I think there's a moat. I think I can defend my investment here. I don't think I have to be too scared. The business is highly contingent on market conditions. So when the market tanks, Robinhood probably tanks with it. But I think retirement and gold in particular are becoming standalone products that don't rely on the market. And if they introduce more of those products, then the business will be a bit separated from just how the market operates. Not fully, but maybe over time. And, you know, that'll make it a potential real competitor to Schwab over the long term. And that'll be an exciting reason to go long on Robinhood. So we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. Elon can't run what he is doing now. Yeah, that's the other thing about X as a competitor. It's like Elon's trying to focus on Twitter, dude, right? Like Elon's trying to focus on Twitter and Tesla. I don't think he wants to get into the financial brokerage space yet. Elon has been tweeting pretty much all day. He's been tweeting about immigrants. He's been tweeting about transgender people. He's been tweeting about the election. I'm looking at his replies right now. He's been tweeting about a lot of things today. And he also tweeted that Reuters was fake. So Elon's been having a blast on Twitter today. even though Tesla stock has been struggling. But he did confirm that Reuters was fake. It would be crazy if Elon was tweeting all day and the Reuters article, he did not comment on that. I think then the market would be, because while the Reuters article came out, Elon was tweeting about a ton of different things, right? He was responding to a bunch of people. If he didn't end up saying anything about Reuters, the stock would probably be at like 156, 157 right now, because the market needed clarity that that like this article was fake. And thankfully, Elon confirmed that that was true. Tesla right now, after hours, 165, up 0.038%. PayPal, these guys, I think, ended at 64, 65. Not bad. PayPal 65. I think they're gearing up for a good Q1. I think PayPal is gearing up for a solid Q1. If we get a good CPI report tomorrow, that's all we need. A really good CPI report. I think we're going to be in the right spot. We get a really good CPI report next week. That CPI report leads the market to feel a bit more comfortable that things aren't as bad as they thought they were. And he's put up strong numbers. And that's, I think, pretty much what you need to have a strong April. But we're going to need that to happen, you know, in a pretty sophisticated way for the market to continue to do well, because it's already had a really good Q1. Also, speaking of Elon, his mom liked my tweet today. So she also is not a fan of Reuters. When I tweeted, I think the Reuters article is fake. May Musk liked the tweet. So Elon's mom does not mess with Reuters either, because Elon doesn't mess with Reuters at all. How do you invest in X? Honestly, I think there's got to be an ETF that holds some X shares, right? I don't think it's Kathy's ETF, but I think it's one of the ETFs that has some X shares. And no, I think it's Kathy's. I think Kathy's venture fund has Elon's has X in it, but there's also a lot of other stuff in there. So you're not really investing just in X, you're investing in to get some exposure to X, but it's not literally investing in X itself. What else do we have? So defense stocks today, Palantir. Oh, wow. Interesting. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Palantir were up today. All the defense stocks were up as well. Lena, hello. Thank you for being here today. Very interesting. Defense stocks rallying a bit this week as well. Hey, Amit, do you own Enovix? What's your opinion on the company? I don't own this one. My opinion is that if you're buying this, you are buying a lottery ticket. Not saying that the company doesn't have any cool things going for them, but stuff like this, stuff like Rocket Labs, there's some decent cult followings behind it, which is good. You know, I like having a cult following, or I like being in the cult following area. Palantir, obviously, cult following. Tesla, cult following. It's fun to be in those stocks because there's a lot of momentum when things go well. But things have to be fundamentally good with the company, like a Tesla or like a Palantir, in order for the cult to have the momentum they need to see a stock price go higher. And Enovix doesn't have anything fundamental going behind it at all. I mean, there's some cool stuff they're doing, but it's a cult that is betting on TJ Rogers making his vision for batteries mainstream, which is why if you invest in it and it works, you deserve all the gains, because it's incredibly risky from this perspective. But it's not the most exciting thing given all the other opportunities that currently exist right now in the markets. And so it's hard for me to get super, super excited for Enovix from here. Let's get an update on Elf Beauty. So Elf collapsed about 14% the other day when Ulta collapsed as well. JP Morgan is not buying it. They issued a price target upgrade on Elf. Here's why they are buying the Elf dip.
Calling Elf Beauty a high conviction pick, adjusting its estimates now above the high end of the company's updated guidance for full year 24. They add that a recent pullback triggered by some cautious industry comments this week from Ulta make now a good time to get in. Price target 197. Joining us, the analyst behind that call, JP Morgan's Andrea Teixeira, one of institutional investors' top ranked analysts 4 years running. Andrea, great to have you. It has been a bit of a confusing week in light of the Ulta comments. Talk about where you see Elf and then the broader industry too.
Thank you, Carl. Basically, what we look at Elf is to continue to gain share over the mass market for cosmetics. And not only that, bringing in more market share at Walmart. They're getting more shelf space. That's a public information. Also getting in international. We just recently launched in Italy and expanding abroad as well, other countries within the European community, which kind of will embrace given their strong following in social media.
what's the competitive advantage?
And again, we've been talking about Elf's social media go-to-market approach. It is different than Ulta. That is a kind of moat in terms of their go-to-market that JP Morgan at least is excited about.
That you see for Elf, especially in just an increasingly competitive space, various price points I know for consumers, for just the overall beauty space in general. Where do you see Elf playing a role in the current environment?
Yes, Wesley, I think the most important thing for Elf is bringing first to market prestige-like products at a very, very competitive prices. You're bringing in not only the younger consumer who relate, and especially the teens relate to that, to that proposition. They're trying these products at a very competitive pricing, and then premiumizing those consumers. They're also bringing in more skincare. They recently acquired Naturium, which is free of, and it's another component of the investment case that they bring in free of ingredients to the mass consumer who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford at that price point.
Meantime, Andrea, you're joining us on a day where we got the jobs data and some wage data in there as well. Year-on-year wages up 4.1, inflation's running 3.2. This great channel.
So they're buying the dip on Elf. Look, Elf is a hell of a product. It's a hell of a company in terms of their go-to-market. I just never really cared that much about makeup, so I never got into them. But I mean, it took a pretty nasty hit, dude. It took a pretty nasty hit this week because of what happened with Ulta. And so maybe one could argue that, hey, there's something there. Elf was at 193 on April 1st. Currently, it's at 161. And that's because Ulta revised their sales projections. So either that's a structural thing within makeup, or that's legitimately a problem just with Ulta, not with Elf. And maybe that is a decent dip opportunity for Elf. All right, there you go. That's what we got in the context of Elf right now. Okay, so we are going to do one last story and then we'll do Q&A to end the week. So Intel had a really tough week. They projected that their foundry business, their chip making business, is going to lose money until 2030. Here's the CEO of Intel speaking a little bit on why they issued that revision of their guidance. We'll take a look at this and then we'll end off the market close with some Q&A. Here we go.
He addressed the losses in the foundry business.
We expect to break even in that business in the 2027 timeframe, and then turns nicely profitable as we go through the rest of the decade. We start to see ROIC, get to the double-digit range by the end of the decade. But part of the problem is we had to significantly overinvest to get back to competitive. Right, so we were years behind. So we had to churn capital and R&D investments to catch up, and that's expensive. And when I build a new factory, it takes me 4 to 5 years to build the factory. So I'm investing $30 billion of capital before I get a penny of revenue, right? And then you got to ramp that new factory. So that takes a couple, 3 years. And it doesn't even start producing profits, right, out of a new factory for 7 or 8 years, right? So it's hard to pay for your cost of capital at those investments, in a short period of time. So this is a long game in that regard. But semiconductors, yeah, it's a profitable industry if you're ready to go through these hard cycles, long-term investments. And our objectives as we think about chips and the long-term chips policies is we have to rebuild a vibrant ecosystem on American soil. We're on the financial journey.
So as you can see from there, I think it makes a lot of sense. They know it's going to be tough to be able to make this profitable, but Pat Gelsinger at least has a plan for what it looks like. And what he said there at the end, we have to do this on American soil. We just had an earthquake here in New Jersey for 5 seconds. Taiwan had a much more horrific earthquake at a 7.5 magnitude, and that lasted much longer than 5 seconds. If TSMC's factories got shut down, or worse, based on an earthquake affecting them in Taiwan, I think the entire stock market would be down for the next coming months. I mean, if we don't have semiconductors, business can't happen. So it is so crucial for us to have American companies, or just like companies in other parts of the world besides just Taiwan, right? European companies, Asian companies. We need more of these businesses to start, but they're really hard to build. So the key point I'm trying to make here is that although Intel's down 9%, they are one of the few companies on planet Earth that are trying to build what TSMC has built in Taiwan in some capacity. And maybe that's worth looking at a little bit more seriously, because if they figure it out, they're going to have a lot more momentum behind them since they're going to be one of a handful of companies actually pulling it off on the planet. And so that's what we got in the context of Intel. All right, cool. Market close is now done. We're just going to do Q&A for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll be done for the entire week. It's been a fun week. So if you got to leave right now, thank you everybody for being here. We will have Palantir Weekly today at 11 p.m. So me, Arnie, and Vince, we got a lot to discuss in the context of Palantir. So we'll be live tonight. So if I don't see you for the rest of the weekend, thank you all for joining the streams over the past couple of days. I'll see you guys on Monday morning. But if I do see you tonight, then Palantir Weekly will be back there tonight as well. All right, cool. So let's get into some of these questions. Josh says Blackstone is acquiring Jersey Mike's for $8 billion, or they're considering it. I haven't had Jersey Mike's in a long time, but it's reasonable food. Like it's good food, cheap food, nothing that crazy. $8 billion. I don't know what the numbers look like on Jersey Mike's, but not crazy to me. Jersey Mike's is a hell of a brand. It's definitely a big brand here in the Northeast as well. Akshot says, Amit, are you an option buyer or a seller? So I think at this stage of my life, I'm an option buyer, and hopefully by the end of the year, I will be an option seller. I do sell some options, but not with the amount of capital that I buy options with. And again, I think there's a season for buying options. When a stock is depressed and you think there is a potential for that stock to go higher, that's when you buy the options, right? So to me, I'm not excited to buy options on, buy options on like a Meta, because the thing's up a lot, right? It's up 500%. Now, if you bought options when Meta was at 88 or 100 or 200 or even 300, like, yeah, there was momentum there. Buying options at 500, there's probably some reward to gain if Meta executes and maybe they go to 600, but the risk reward is skewed heavily to risk versus reward. So right now, I've made a lot of plays in the beginning of the year that have led to some decent returns so far. We got to see how those play out, and those were on the buying side. And if those work out, I will take those profits and start selling options, because I think it's much more profitable long-term than just buying options. And so we'll see how that goes by the end of the year. And I'll take you guys along with me on that journey. I've been learning a lot about put credit spreads and call credit spreads and all these different things you can do with selling options versus buying them. I just need a little bit more money to play with them in a better way versus in a in a small capacity, because you're only getting 2 to 3% if even that when you're selling options in terms of returns. Buying, you can get 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200%, right? If you're right. But selling, you're trying to inch out 1.5 to 2% over 30 days. And so you need a little bit more money to play with to make that profitable. Ray, $10. Thank you for the super chat. He says, way to say thanks, not for the hood gains, which were great, but for being great. Had a bad couple of weeks, but listening to you talk for a couple hours daily really helped keep my mind off of negative vibes. That's awesome, dude. Was it feeling kind of bad because of the markets or just in life? I would imagine life, because markets have been okay over the past couple of weeks. So if I am a resource to help you feel better about just what's going on in the day, if I'm a source of escapism for people, then that makes me feel great. That's really, really cool to feel, because obviously everyone has their own form of escapism. I have a plethora of different things I consume for escapism. And so if I can be someone else's escape, then I love it. That's really, really, really cool to know. Life. Okay, so life shit. Yeah, life shit is life shit, dude. I mean, like over the past couple of weeks, I think this entire 2024 has been wild, dude. The entire 2024, I think it's kind of happening so quick. I'm not really taking the time to reflect on it because I'm just trying to be in go mode and keep running. But 2024 has been wild. At least for me, it's been insane, because in January, the goal was like, all right, let's just do it, And what does do it mean? It means just do it. It means just fucking do it. Whatever that means, it means do it. And I think over the past couple of months, we've decently done certain parts of it with things that have happened on the channel. And now we just got to keep doing it, because this is a very competitive business to win in. But it's fun. It's really fun as well, knowing the competition. I have a couple things I want to say to that. Let me get to some questions, and then I'll speak more on that, because me and my mom were actually talking about this the other day. Austin says, thoughts on using ChatGPT Gemini for learning how to analyze business, having it analyze businesses for me. I think using ChatGPT and Gemini to get like answers from a financial perspective works, but analyze a business, you got to learn how to do that yourself. It's going to be very hard for Gemini to tell you if this is a good stock or not a bad stock. They can help you understand the revenue like numbers and the trends and the net income and shit. But outside of that, you got to learn how to analyze a business yourself. And I'm not saying I'm the best at analyzing businesses. I'm still learning how to do it. But AI doesn't really help from that perspective. The charts and the information AI can help you gather quickly, but the actual analysis, I think, is a little harder to do. Are you going to Sushi Pals tonight? I am not. I'm not going to get sushi. I ate out a lot in New Orleans last week, so I'm kind of tired of eating out, dude. Like, dude, I ate out 3 times a day, every day for like 3 days. Dude, my boy hit me with the Venmo bill yesterday. He said, "Hey, buddy, you owe me a decent amount of money." And I was like, "All right, dude." And I paid him back. And I was like, "Oh, that's a lot of Palantir shares that are going because of fucking food, dude." That's one of the things I didn't want to do in New Orleans, was spend a lot of money. But then when you're there with friends, like, you kind of have to spend money. So it's good though, because it was my boy's bachelor party, and he would have been upset if I missed it. So it's a decent amount of money that was spent on stupid shit like food, but you got to do that stuff just to even protect relationships, dude. Long term, it's more important than the shares or the equities in companies sometimes. What else do we have? What else do we have here? Question a bit. Any future interviews coming up? So this is a good question. None of them that I've planned yet, but I do think that the Vlad interview gets me a little bit more credibility to ask some of these people for interviews. And so, honestly, I'll just say it right now. The next person I want to get is Kathy. I think it's possible to get her. The reason I'm saying this, and I'm saying this literally off the top of my head, I have not asked or anything like that, is because, well, she owns like 15 million shares of Robinhood. I just interviewed the Robinhood CEO. I think if I emailed the PR people at ARK, like, as long as they haven't watched me say any bad things about Kathy, which I'm not saying any bad things about Kathy. I've been a little critical when she sold Palantir, just a little bit, but she bought back in, so that's good. I think they would be down to like let me come do a podcast with her, and particularly because Kathy needs to pump her shit. It's bad. ARK has not been doing well, so I think she's willing to do any press. And as long as the press is somewhat credible, like a YouTuber who interviewed one of the CEOs of the company she owns $200 million in, maybe they're like, all right, let's do a podcast with you. And I think that would be a fun podcast, because I would actually try to ask her, like, how are you coming up with these estimates, these valuations? What do you think of all this? Like, I would actually try to dig deeper into that. It's less of like a, tell me about the story of, it's like, I really want to know, how she thinks of these these companies. So I think Kathy would be cool if we could get her next, and we'll see if that could happen. But that would be really dope. That would be really dope if we could get that done. Noto is a decent option. The thing about Noto is, again, there's two things. Number one, I think I probably shouldn't be the one to interview Anthony Noto. I think my boy Tanner definitely deserves that. So I do think if the opportunity even came, I would, like, dude, if they reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to do a Noto interview? I would literally, I'm being dead serious. I would literally like tell them, hey, can you do it with this guy? Because I would feel so bad to do that interview, knowing that like Tanner is the one who's like been covering SoFi so deeply over the past 2 years. And so I would tell them, like, no, you should probably do it with this guy who's been fucking like covering your stock forever. Like, this is the guy who deserves it. The problem is I don't think they're going to do that interview because the stock's in the gutter. I don't think until the stock gets to like $12-15 will they actually do retail press, because they're so afraid of how the market would interpret it. Every company is so afraid to do retail press. I told you guys many times, right? Like, Vlad had to fight to do the interview in his team because his team said, hey, maybe this is not going to look the best if like we talk to this retail dude. And Vlad was like, nope, we're doing it. And I'm the fucking CEO. So we're doing what I say. Like, so he really campaigned for it. But he's in that opportunity because the stock's up, more than 100%. I don't think Noto's in that opportunity yet to get that job done. So we will see. We will see how that plays out. Brett Adcock. Yeah, I definitely got to reach out to him. I haven't reached out to this guy. He's the CEO of Figure. He just did an interview the other day with someone at the factory. I got to reach out to him because I think that would be a great guest and it would be fun. And it would be nice to do an interview with him while the company is worth $2 billion, because we don't talk about it that much anymore, right? Because like this is the thing about the news market and sort of media. Things move so quickly. Like, Figure was exciting the day they raised money and the day like I told you guys I was investing in it and all that stuff. And now it's just like, it's a boring startup that until they execute or have any big product announcements, it's just the company that raised money, right? There's nothing that exciting about it. So it would be fun to interview him while the company's worth $2 billion. And maybe on their next raise or whatever the company's worth, 3-4 years from now, maybe 30, 40, 50 billion if they can get there. It would be cool to interview him in the early days before that happens. So that would also be a really dope interview to get done as well. They can interview Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX CEO. Oh boy, that would be crazy. That'd be crazy. Shout out to Sean in the chat. Fortune 500 CEOs, man, aim higher. I was talking to Sean last night. Sean is grinding on his own startup right now. And he's trying to build something that's really going to be pretty exciting in the job marketplace ecosystem. Fortune 500 CEOs, that's also a really cool thing to aim for. I think the thing is we got to get, like, my goal 2024 based on this Vlad interview is to get at least 4 more big names. And I know that's pretty ambitious because we have how many months left in the year? 8 months left in the year. But if we could get 4 big names, like maybe not the Elons of the world, but maybe the Cathys of the world. I mean, I don't know, maybe the Jack Dorseys of the world. I don't know if he would do press, but I would love to sit down with Jack Dorsey and talk about what he's doing in crypto. Maybe the Michael Saylors of the world, which I don't think it's that crazy to get an interview with Michael Saylor. He's got to pump Bitcoin. He's got to get the message out. He does a lot of different podcasts here and there. I think if I met Texas team and I'm like, hey, you know, I have an audience that cares about crypto. We just interviewed Vlad, who's the CEO of Robinhood. I think there's a world we can get that done. I think we can get 4 more of those done throughout the end of the year. So we have 5 big interviews. Then I think 2025 can be a rocket ship when it comes to really big interviews. But we got to get 4 more. And so to me, like the one thing I'm obsessed with at the end of the year is like, can we get 4 bigger names? So it's not a fluke, right? It's not just a one and done, because anyone can do one big interview. You got to follow it up. That's the biggest thing I've learned in media. You can do one good video. You can have one good tweet. Can you follow it up? And can you follow it up every fucking day? And if you can't, you're not going to survive, quite frankly. And if you can, then you have a little bit of breathing room. But if you can't, you're done. And so the goal is to follow it up another couple times and see what we can do. Your bricks are crooked. No, I think your eyes are crooked because you are not looking at the bricks correctly. These are real bricks that are not crooked. Again, your eyes might be a little tilted, but I don't know what to tell you there. I don't know what to tell you there. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you there. Evan, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. He says these 2 stocks have grown 500% in the last year: GigaCloud Technologies and Vertiv VRT. I bought both of them this week to get a piece of the pie. What do you think? I will write these down right now in a Google Doc. I don't know anything about these tickers at all. So GCT, and what's the other one? VRT. Yeah, I'll take a look this weekend and see if there's anything there, and I'll get back to you on Monday on the market open. But no, I know nothing about those companies, but I'll put them down and take a look at those later as well. I love when Amit gaslights us. Okay, I've come to the conclusion gaslighting is a term women made up when they don't know how to win an argument. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. It's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. It's a thing women came up with when they can't win an argument. They start going for, hey, you're gaslighting me. And I think it's just because they don't know how to win the argument. So that's why they're wrong. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Actually, this comedian did this joke. Akash, if you guys watched that joke on his new comedy special, the comedy special was okay, but he made that joke, and I was like, damn, that's such a good line, because I think everyone's kind of been in a little argument, you know, with a significant other, and then they're like, you're gaslighting me, and then they're just like, no, you just don't know how to answer the argument. Like, I'm not gaslighting you. You're just wrong here. But like technically, you probably are gaslighting them. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny at the end of the day. So I thought that was a good joke. Wouldn't that be mansplaining? Yeah, probably. That's probably mansplaining. That's basically what it is. Okay, what was I going to say? So I was going to get back to that topic above that I was speaking about. So you guys know that I was at so let me start off the story here. So I told you guys I went to a friend's house the other day, not a family friend's house, but like they were these neighbors that lived down the street from us. We hadn't really communicated with them for a while. And so they invited us over for dinner a couple days ago. This was the day I posted the Vlad interview. And then we went there. And so if you guys were here on the market open a couple days ago, you saw me talk a little bit about this. And the dad, who has 2 kids, he has a boy and a girl. They're both in like middle school. He has a diamond empire, right? So he has this really, really, really big company, Diamond Empire. And, he was just educating me about the diamond business. And I was just like soaking all of that in. I wanted to learn, like, what is the business of diamonds? How do you sell diamonds? And then their little boy, who is, he's in 7th grade. He was asking me about what I do for a living. And I was like, well, I do YouTube, I do social media content. And he thought it was really cool, right? Because every kid cares about YouTube. Like, he lives on YouTube all day. He watches all the YouTube stuff. So he thought it was pretty cool. He was going through my thumbnails. He was like, who is this guy with this weird hair in every one of your thumbnails? I was like, oh, that's Alex Karp. He's like really important to my videos. And so it was really funny. But one of the things that was interesting, and this goes back to how 2024 has been an incredibly crazy year, and it's one of those things to reflect on, is the dad kept saying at dinner, while we were eating dinner with them, that he wants his son to get into the diamond business. Now, his son is 13 years old. And publicly during the dinner, he kept saying that, yeah, I really want my son to take over the business when he gets older. And, my mom and I looked at each other during this, because my mom and I have we're very in sync when stuff like this happens, and we talk very honestly with each other. And we could both tell that was happening, because the kid did not want to get into the diamond business, dude. The kid, you could easily tell, like the way he was acting, the way the kid was kind of awkward about it. Like he was kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll do this business one day. The kid looks like he wants to be his own person. He wants to have his own legacy. He wants to do his own thing. And I can get that, dude. If your dad is a multimillionaire off a diamond business, you kind of don't feel like you're doing anything in life if you're just following in his footsteps and taking over his business. You're not building your own shit. And I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, there's a lot of security in having a familia business that is passed down through generations, because that was passed to his dad, from his grandfather. But the kid seemed really uncomfortable around this idea about being in the diamond business. And so me and my mom, when we were reflecting on this dinner, when we came back at night, we were kind of talking about the fact that that's the one thing my mom never did to me. My mom and my parents in general, both my parents wanted me to become my own person. And it's a very scary thing for your parents to actually let their kids become their own person, because the world is a very scary place. Like not only making it financially, making it from an emotional perspective, physically being safe, making sure you have a roof over your head, food, all that stuff. It is a very scary thing to let an 18 to 20-year-old kid go figure out what they want to do, especially if they're like me and they're not taking the corporate route. They're not going to JP Morgan Chase, right? They're like actually trying to build their own shit. And there's a lot of failure involved when you're building your own shit. There's a lot of trial and error. There's all this shit that happens when you're doing your own shit. And so the reflection we were having, because this was the day the Vlad interview came out, and my mom was just like really, really happy that like I was able to get that done, is that Vlad interview happened because of like pure fucking perseverance. This idea that like, hey, I'm going to make my own content. I'm not going to go to Bloomberg, to Wall Street Journal, to CNBC. I'm going to make my own Twitter account. I'm going to come up with my own due diligence. I'm going to write my own tweets, and I'm going to market it myself, right? Like all of that you have to do by yourself. There's no one holding your hand to do it. You have to do it. And then I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep being persistent. I'm going to keep live streaming every day. I'm going to keep making these videos. I'm going to keep trying to figure out different ways to get my name out there, yada, yada, yada. You're going to keep doing all of this by yourself. And you never know what might end up happening. And what ends up happening sometimes is people take notice, and some really important people take notice, like the actual company themselves. And then you land a really monster thing for your career. That only happened because my mom didn't force me to, become a teacher like she did. Or my dad didn't force me to get into the liquor store business. We had a liquor store in our family for 20 years. He didn't, force me to get into that part of the business. They let me just be me, right? They let me do my own shit. And so the whole interesting thing about that dinner we went to, it just made me more grateful for what has happened over the past couple of years, and also for my parents, because they it is so hard for parents to just let their kids be themselves and go. And for good reason, right? Like to defend the parents for a second, like you want your kids to be safe. And if your kid's just going out there saying, yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to go be a YouTube streamer, I'm going to do all this shit, like it's really difficult, because 9 times out of 10, that motherfucker's going to fail, and they're going to fail flat on their face. But if you do give them the encouragement and the confidence and the security for them to not be insecure about doing their own thing, they might end up talking to the CEO of Robinhood. And I think with all the failures I've had here and there, the one thing that I've always been able to do is just be consistent at persevering. And once you figure out what you're kind of good at, I double down on that. So like music, I sucked at, I left, right? Basketball, I sucked at, I left, even though I thought I was pretty good. I started JV freshman point guard, but ultimately I wasn't getting taller than 5'7". So really it was a genetic thing. It wasn't a talent thing. I think the talent was there. The genetics just weren't there. So that was more biology. But then debate, I found out I was good at that shit. Double down, go all in, right? And so the one thing about me is I've always been perseverant and consistent at something when I figured out I was good at it. And that's what I think gave my parents the confidence to just let me go be me and not have to keep this insecurity of, hey, can you, run our diamond business when you grow up? Or can you, stay in the family business and not do what you want to do, even if you're trying to become something different than what we've built? And I think that's very rare, right? And so to me, it was a really good thing to reflect on that. That Vlad interview, if anything, it was just a testament to like, all right, sometimes you can do shit on your own, and that thing you do on your own can actually materialize into a form of success that is truly based on your own work ethic. And it should give you the confidence to take the next step and to keep it going, versus to feel scared and insecure that you might never figure it out. Because that's the risk of life. Like, can you figure it out? If you have any level of ambition, even in investing, if you're picking an individual stock, are you right about the investment? You have to be at least ambitious enough to make a decision with your capital that is focused just on a single stock. And you have to have trust and confidence in yourself. And if you do, maybe some of that good stuff can happen. So that was the reflection I had over the past couple of days. over pretty much everything that happened in the world of this whole Vlad interview and all that. NYC Urbanista says diamonds tend to be family dynasties. He will change his mind. Look, I think the kid's probably going to go into the diamond business, but you could tell like he doesn't want to. Like me, if my dad had a big diamond business, and maybe I'm just saying this because I don't have a dad that has a big diamond business, but I genuinely don't think I would want to be in the diamond business and just have everything handed to me. Like there's a part of me that like wants to do this shit myself. Like it just feels so special knowing I'm trying to build this whole media enterprise by myself. Not saying that there's not people helping and there's not support and all this stuff, but like at the end of the day, it's me. Like, dude, yesterday, my dad, he was just sitting here. We were finishing some of his taxes and he's not the best with the computer. And so he said, hey, can I see what people have been saying about the interview? So I showed him the Twitter post and he was like, oh, wow, this is like a lot of people are talking. He was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what is this 250 retweets? And it was just the cutest thing, dude. Cause I was like struggling to explain what a retweet is. I was like, well, it's like people basically like, they retweet it. And he's like, yeah, but like, what does that mean? Like he couldn't make sense of that number, but that's a big deal for 250 people to retweet an hour-long interview. Like that matters, right? But in his head, he's just trying to even make sense of what the fuck a retweet is. So I'm saying that because that's the type of family I'm coming from when it comes to media. I'm not coming from a media tycoon that worked at Warner Brothers and shit and is able to help mentor you through the media business. It's like, no, dude, like this is just like raw personality and me just trying to figure it out as I go in terms of figuring out how can I be successful in media, which is a very hard thing to be successful in. And but the point is it feels more special if it ends up working out because you don't have daddy's money or, you know, daddy's connections helping you set that up. And I think that's the important thing, you know, when you're trying to build anything. I bought my wife a lab-grown diamond. Can't tell the difference, but the price was much cheaper. Yeah, we did talk about lab-grown diamonds with the dude. And there's a big market for lab-grown diamonds. There's like actual diamonds and then there's lab-grown diamonds. You can't really tell the difference. That is correct. Price is a lot cheaper. But he's in the business of selling all that shit. So in terms of the actual understanding of like the diamond ecosystem, I think I have a much more educated perspective on that. He invited me to his offices and we connected. And I think I'm going to check out his office like next week or something because I really want to see like what is it like to sell diamonds. Now the margins on it aren't the best. He said he does like 10% a month. So the margins aren't amazing, or in over the business overall, there's a 10% margin, but it's very capital intensive, right? So you're selling millions and millions of dollars of this stuff back and forth. So even if the margins are only 10%, you're selling, 10% on millions of bucks, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in margin. So that's the order of the business, and it'll be more exciting to learn a little bit more about it. Ray says first generation builds it, second generation maintains it, third generation squanders it all. Yeah, basically. But that's what I want to do whenever I become a parent. I want to make sure my kids have the confidence to do their own thing, dude. Because to get to this Vlad interview as well, I started making YouTube videos in fucking 2015. Like I always wanted to do content and I failed miserably here and there. You do this, you do that. Some things work, some things don't. And then you go through college and you're just lost in college trying to figure shit out. What can I do? What can I can't do? The one thing that worked for me in college is I took my debate skills and I turned that into a consulting firm, and that led to a decent amount of revenue. So that also gave my parents confidence that, okay, this kid figured out how to make money. Even if he's failing at other stuff, he can at least bring money. He can pay for his own expenses. He can pay for his own college. He can pay for his own car, all that stuff. So that was legitimizing. But in terms of actually doing what I wanted to do, it took a long time to figure that out. And now we're here. And now it's like, it can't just stop at the Vlad interview, dude. It has to go further than that. It has to go further. It can't just be a one-hit wonder type of thing. It has to be taking that opportunity and turning it into a lot more opportunities. Because you don't get these opportunities a lot in life. And the funny thing, I was saying this about the Vlad interview the other day, is like, I was not nervous at all going into the interview. And I think the reason I wasn't nervous is because I was just like, I know I'm going to crush it, because this is one of those things you can't fuck up. Like, you can't have a bad interview, dude. You really can't. You can't. If they invited you to interview him and he doesn't do a lot of interviews, you just can't. It's like that Eminem line in Lose Yourself. It's like you just cannot fail. You cannot fuck that up. You have to execute and make it work. This has to be a blockbuster thing in your life. Get the shit done. Make it happen. And so I kind of felt at ease, because I was like, I'm not going to fuck this up. I know I'm going to do this right. And so based on the feedback I got from the interview, I think a lot of people enjoyed it. And after listening to it 5 times, I think it did go well. And now for the next interview, I think I'll be even less nervous because once you got one under your belt and you kind of feel like you deserve to talk to the Kathy Woods of the world, you get less nervous to do this stuff. So Mick can pay attention for all of that, but he can't pay attention to a 2-hour movie. All right, look, dude, I'm going to turn on Back to the Future. And where do you watch it? Back to the Future movie watch online. Do I have to do this legally? Hope the feds aren't watching right now. How do I watch this? $3.99 on Amazon Prime? No, we're not doing that. We are going to go to some unique websites. Not going to say illegal websites, but unique websites. And we're going to load up this Back to the Future. You know what? I might do this tonight, dude. I might get this over with tonight so I don't have to waste my Saturday going Back to the Future. I'm going to load it up tonight. I got a TV right there. And I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to watch this thing. I will give it a good 15 minutes before I leave and go back to my phone. So you'll get 15 minutes out of me. If it sucks in the first 15 minutes, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not watching this shit anymore. But it's got 15 minutes of my attention today. And if those 15 minutes are strong, then we will continue watching. If not, then it's GG for Back to the Future. I'm sorry. It's GG. We will see. We will see. If not, I will watch a plethora of TikToks instead of Back to the Future. That's what we'll do it. What is your background amid? Okay, so my mom helped set this up while I was at New Orleans. So let me let me show you guys a couple of things from this. Let me grab a couple of things and show you guys these things. So we've got this thing right here, this thing right here. Okay, so here's a couple of these things. So these are old debate trophies that we have in our house, and she put them here in the back. We were always thinking of what could we do to make the background look better, and I think this looks a lot better. So this right here, I won the Big Apple Lincoln Douglas Championship. This was in 2015. So I won a debate tournament in New York City. This one was really competitive to win. This was like my first real big win. I was a senior, and this one was good. This one was fire. So we won that. Then this is in Chicago. I was 6th speaker at one of the most competitive tournaments in 2015. For debate. I should have been top 5, but you know, it was whatever. I went 7-0 at that tournament, right? Yeah, I went 7-0. So I won 7 rounds, lost 0 rounds, but I ended up being 6th speaker. It would have been nice if I was 1st speaker and 7-0. I would have sweeped in the tournament, but this one became 6th. And then this one, I was the state champion in New Jersey in varsity policy. So everything in the back basically is like some books, some flowers, and then there's a little bit more debate trophies there. That's what we got in the back. And so nothing too crazy. We're going to add more stuff here as well behind me to make it even better. But that's what we had as well. Amid Tesla rising on ROBOTAXI event. Big Tesla news. Yeah, I did not see that in the chat. Sorry. I was talking about my trophies. I wasn't talking about Tesla. Okay, where is Tesla at right now? Whoa, 3%. 3%. Okay, hold on. ROBOTAXI news. Let me go to CNBC. This matters a little bit more than my debate trophies. Let's go to that. Let's see if CNBC is covering it. Oh man, Meet Kevin's going to be mad. Okay, CNBC is not covering it. Let me go to Twitter. You know, Meet Kevin was live streaming the Tesla Model 2 Reuters article. The live stream is now private because during the stream I was watching it, he was wrong. And he had to kind of eat his words when he was wrong. Here you go. ROBOTAXI unveil on August 8th. Wow, he's announcing that 5 months before it happens. Holy crap. Okay, let's quote tweet this. Elon Musk indicating robo-taxis are coming on August 8th, 2024. Yeah, 8th month is August, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Tweet. Oh wait, no, I didn't tag Tesla. Damn it. See, this is what happens when in the world of Twitter, you gotta delete this thing. You gotta put the Tesla thing. You guys are seeing what it feels like to be a content creator right now. That's pretty big news, dude. That's pretty big news. That means that it's happening. Oh boy, that is big news. That is big news. But what year by Crossroads? If this is like not 2024, we are screwed. This better happen 2024. What's really fun about this is he's announcing this the day that Reuters tried to do a hit piece and take down the company. Wow. Tesla robotaxis. Let's look at the stock. Let's look at the stock right now. 8/8 is August 8th, right? August 8th. Yeah, the stock's up 3% right now. Stock's up 3%. August 8th, 2024. August 8th, 2024. I doubt it's not this year, dude. If it's not this year, that'd be very weird. But look at that. It's up after hours at 160. This is such a crazy day, dude. Reuters tried to say Tesla's not going to have the Model 2 and that Elon's going all in on the ROBOTAXI. Elon says they're lying, but then 3 hours later, Elon says, hey, we're revealing the ROBOTAXI. So again, it doesn't seem like Reuters necessarily had everything wrong because their sources were that, hey, we're scrapping the Model 2, we're going all in on the ROBOTAXI. Elon's like, you're lying. So maybe Elon's saying, you're lying, we're not only going in on the ROBOTAXI at the expense of the Model 2, we're still building the Model 2, and we're going in on the ROBOTAXI. And Reuters kind of went the negative angle saying, yeah, they're going in on the ROBOTAXI, but they're getting rid of the Model 2. Whereas Elon's like, actually, we're just doing both. And if we're doing both, then yeah, Tesla, theoretically, this would be pretty exciting for shareholders. I mean, if a ROBOTAXI is officially coming out, the thing about ROBOTAXI I'm confused about is that has to mean that FSD is ready to go, right? That has to mean that FSD is ready to go because there's no way they would be ready to unveil a ROBOTAXI of any capacity if FSD is not ready or they think it's really damn close to getting ready. And all the anecdotal evidence we've seen from all the YouTubers that have been making videos on Tesla say that they feel it's ready or they feel like it. I mean, Vitaly, I was talking to Vitaly yesterday on Finance Junkies. He also felt that the ROBOTAXI was or not the ROBOTAXI, but Tesla FSD 12.3 was great. And it was a lot better than before. Than the FSD 11 version. So if that's the case, dude, then that's going to be pretty damn exciting. Let's go back to Webull here and see what we got. 170 right now after hours on Tesla. And that's what we're looking at right now. So there's the, let's look at this right here. Yeah, there's the little pump right there going up all the way to 169 right now after hours. Really interesting. I'm trying to get some more coverage on this. Let's see if other people are talking about. Let's see what people are saying on Twitter. Let's see. Okay, let's just go through the timeline and see what people are saying. I feel like FSD's got to be close for him to announce this thing, dude. So do not expect Tesla ROBOTAXI so soon. Things are about to get real. Elon just announced the Tesla ROBOTAXI unveiling is officially August 8th. What does he mean by unveiled, though? Like, isn't a ROBOTAXI, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it just like a Model 3 that has FSD, right? Isn't it just a regular Tesla vehicle? It's not like a new car or anything. I guess they're unveiling the software platform or they're building a pseudo Uber, right? Which is what a ROBOTAXI is. So they're probably unveiling the entire platform, the application, the software, all that stuff. Because it's not an actual car. Like, it's still, unless I'm wrong, it's just the Tesla that's filled with FSD. Tesla strong answers to the FUD. Wow, ROBOTAXI unveil soon. This is funny. Sad to see Tesla squander away such an exciting company that was poised to change the world. I think he's saying that there's going to be a lot of car crashes with ROBOTAXI or something. Let's go under Elon's post. What is Elon saying? What is Elon saying, dude? Down 1.5%. It's down. Oh, he pinned it. Is it down right now? It is. No, it's up 3%. It's still up 3%. Meet Kevin said Optimus 1.0 style reveal. Look, dude, Meet Kevin is becoming such a bear on Tesla. And I think it's really like weird. Again, I don't know if you guys were watching it, but he was streaming when the Reuters report broke and I turned it on and it was just in the background. And he's over there like basically happy, even though he's portraying himself as sad, right? Because you got to be sad because his audience is mainly Tesla bulls. So you have to be sad. Oh no, Tesla's going to fall, blah, 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 blah. Tesla's down 7%. But in his head, I think he's happy as hell because he's sold out of his Tesla and he's short. So he's like happy that Tesla's down. And then Elon, in the middle of his stream, says, actually, this is fake news. And then you just kind of watch Meet Kevin squirm and be like, well, maybe it's kind of not fake news. And it was sad, dude. It was sad. Like he was trying to justify the news was real, even though it was fake, which based on what Elon's saying, it seems to be fake. It seems to be Reuters just making shit up right now, or at least talking to the wrong people. So it seems like Meet Kevin now is saying, hey, is this going to be a real thing you're doing? Or is this an Optimus, reveal? Optimus obviously is not a product that is in the markets yet. And it's probably not going to be in the markets for the next 5-6 years, at least in a meaningful way. And so if ROBOTAXIs are not really going to be material revenue for the company, at least in the next year or two, then is this event going to be as big of a deal? I think that's what he's trying to imply right now. He had a tweet calling out Jeremy. What did he say to Jeremy? Did he actually say something to Jeremy? Okay, so first let's read his ROBOTAXI tweet. A ROBOTAXI unveil on August 8 would come about 2 weeks after Q2 earnings. Some are saying Q1, Q2 will be the worst for Tesla. Some might say this might be the hope they needed. Some say this is a big moment. Some say it's an Optimus 1.0 reveal. I don't see his Jeremy tweet. Let me know if you see that. I don't see any tweets of Jeremy. But yeah, see, I mean, he's been pretty bearish overall on Tesla. And I mean, look, the dude sold out of all of it. And he sold out of all of Enphase too. So he's completely out of these solar plays. He's not totally wrong. If RoboTaxi is disappointing, it will be bad. Well, yeah, I agree. If RoboTaxi is disappointing, it's probably gonna be bad. And Elon's probably trying to pump right now. Definitely trying to pump. But if FSD is getting close, I don't know. If FSD is getting close, maybe RoboTaxis are a lot closer than what people think. If I missed the Jeremy tweet, can you guys send it to me? If I missed it, can you just send me the link in the chat? Because I don't see it right now here. Amid, Kevin is not short on Tesla. I'm saying more metaphorically. I know he closed the short, but I mean, like metaphorically, he's bearish on Tesla. That's what I mean by short. But he doesn't have any Tesla anymore, right? So that's his kind of big thing right here. The tweet showing TTCF's performance is what the other person... Wait, he showed a tweet showing TTCF's performance? Oh, this tweet. I thought this was just a regular Tesla chart. Holy crap, dude. The last 12 months and probably next 6 to 12 months will be a blip in Tesla's successful future. Why is he... It's so rude, dude. Like, it's so weird. Why are you being so... That's interesting. That's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Weird shots fired. I thought only makeup influencers have beef. Nope. Finance YouTubers have beef too. They have some vegetarian beef or some vegan beef. It's just being a dick, dude. Like, it's not. And look, I interview the guy. I like Meet Kevin, but I can call him out as well. If you're being a dick, you're being a dick. Like, it is what it is. I don't know. Not the best look from my perspective. Sean says real technology changes is measured in decades, not minutes. These immature childs make me crazy. I mean, look, that's a good point. At the end of the day, we've all said Tesla 2024 is an accumulation year, even if 2025 is an accumulation year. If by 2030 they really figure out FSD, self-driving, and robotaxis in a meaningful capacity, yeah, this thing's not going to be stuck at $170. That's for sure. But maybe there will be some short-term pain going into the next few years for Tesla if it's not as bad. I'm coming out of retirement for the finance YouTuber fights. Amit versus Jeremy and Chris versus Vitaly on the same fight card. But I would not want to fight Jeremy. I like Jeremy. He's a good guy. Like, you can say whatever you want about him. He's a nice person at the end of the day, you know? This is why I never got involved in YouTube finance drama. You know, I never got into the finance drama, never made a video of, oh, he exposed all the, like, you know, I never just do that shit. It's just never, it's not worth the clicks and views, dude. It's just not worth it. At the end of the day, you want to still be friends with people, you know? Like, we're all in the same game. We're all trying to have an attention-focused business that's outside of mainstream media. So we're all fighting the same fight. But it's sad to see the internal fights within that fight. Kevin live streamed the Tesla drop today and acted like a dick today. Yeah, I mean, look, that's just facts. I was watching some of that in the background. He was absolutely acting pretty mean. And look, the thing about it is, like, if he was always a Tesla bear, it doesn't matter. He built his career off Tesla. I've said this over and over again. When you build your career off a company and then you do a 180, you can't be upset when your entire audience gets mad at you, because your entire audience followed you because you were bullish on Tesla and you ended up being right when everyone else was wrong, when Wall Street was wrong. That's like, what more could you ask for? The least you could do now is not be a dick when this company's struggling, when they provided you not only your fame, but also your wealth. I mean, like, it's just, there's a little bit of gratitude you have to have. It's, at least that's what you got to be a little grateful for that. You don't have to be emotionally attached with the company, but you could be somewhat grateful. But that is not how he's acting. Okay, so what else? Let's see what people are saying under my tweet. So I tweeted it. Let's see what people are saying. Let's see. Wow, this is big news, dude. This is pretty damn big news. He never said 2024. Dude, if he didn't say 2024, then. So first of all, August 8th, 8/8 is going to happen in 5 months. If that's not happening in 2024, then we are screwed. Like, why would he say 8/8 for 3 years from now? I mean, like, that would be an actual very bare. Why would you tweet about RoboTaxi unveil on 8/8? First of all, usually when people don't put the last year, they're implying it's in this year. You guys know what I mean? Like, when you don't put the ending year of a date, you're implying that it's happening in this year. I don't know if I'm crazy for saying that, but that's just like naturally how I interpret this stuff. So to me, that's happening in August. And if that's not happening in August, I don't know why the hell Elon's even tweeting about this, because no one cares if it's happening in 2025. Yeah, he had to mean this year. So August is in 4 months, not 5. Okay, it's happening in 4 months. So yeah, it's definitely happening this year, dude. That's not even a doubt in my mind. My question is, what is the RoboTaxi going to look like? Some of you are saying it's a brand new car. How many people think the RoboTaxi is an actual new car? Because if that's the case, I totally missed that. I did not think it was going to be a new car. Is it actually a new car? Like a 2-seater or something? Like, would they actually build a new car? Because my interpretation was it's just going to be their regular car with the correct software. New car mid, no steering wheel, new smaller car. Interesting. It's a new platform, so yes. It's an electric rickshaw. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay, what are people saying? So awesome. This was the earthquake that the East Coast felt today. After hours is pumping. Was going to wait for the gap fill around 145. Now I don't think it's going to get there. His tweet about Reuters lying sent the stock back up $6. Bro, have you tried FSD? I have not tried that yet. 2027. Yeah, I mean, look, people are excited. People are excited. I think it's happening this year. I think it would make no sense for it not to happen this year. That would be the weirdest thing ever. Yeah, everyone's still excited about that. Everyone's still excited about that. People think it's happening. If it's happening, dude, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be crazy. Is it basically an Optimus V1 like unveil? I want to say no, because FSD seems to be in prime time. And if FSD is coming into prime time, which again, that's what everyone's saying, I don't think it's going to be as hard as building a humanoid robot, which is going to take a couple more years for them to really get right. So it seems like it's going to be real. A new unboxing platform. Up for, yeah, where's the stock right now? Let me go to the stock. Where's the stock? We are, wow, it's up almost 5%, dude, 172. Tesla is up 5% after their worst deliveries this year on record, or since April 2022. After a horrible Reuters report this morning, and after Elon basically this entire week tweeted about immigrants and the border extensively. So, I mean, Elon's talking about the border. You got deliveries going horrible. You've got a macro that really wasn't that good this week. You got a Reuters really big article that sent the stock down almost 7% today. And somehow, some way, at the end of the week, the stock is up almost 5% at 172, barely down from that 175 level that it opened the week at, because FSD is seemingly legit and because Elon says robotaxis are coming. It's pretty damn inspiring, dude. If he pulls it off, it's pretty damn inspiring. Pretty insane. Pretty insane. I kind of agree with Kevin, though, that Q2 is going to be bad. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us know that Q1, Q2 is going to suck from a deliveries and volumes and margins perspective. Like, we all know that, which has been my internal debate with Tesla. It's like, well, wait a second. Why do you buy the dip at 164, 165 if you know the earnings are going to suck? Because then the numbers, the revenues, everything's going to suck, because everything's contingent upon how many cars they produce, unless energy goes through the roof, which even if it does, it's not enough to make up for the loss of top line revenue. But if the market is baked in all that news, and here, this is a big and FSD is actually legitimately coming to the market where people will start to pay $12,000 for that package, and screw the 17% margin, dude. Now you're gonna have 85% margin on these cars with FSD, because that's pure software. Yeah, you can't value Tesla anymore at this valuation. You've got to give them a bit more of a multiple, and the street's wrong. And so over the next few months, we're going to see if FSD is enough to deal with the fact that deliveries are not as good as they are right now. What a day to be a Tesla shareholder. Yep. What a day. I was down on the day until Tesla after hour news. Yep. A lot of people, their Tesla. What's really sad is if you sold Tesla at 160, dude. At 161, if before Elon tweeted that it's fake news, if you saw that Reuters article and in your head you were like, dude, I'm bullish Tesla, but if they're not doing the Model 2, I got to get out of this thing before it tanks to 130. If you sold at 160, you probably have to question your entire bullish thesis on Tesla, because theoretically, I don't think anyone should have sold on that news. I mean, that's definitely material changing thesis breaking news, but I don't know if that's sell that quick without even confirmation on if that news is true, right? Like if you sell based on a Reuters article, that's just like I think that's a little immature, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Only 10 states have any restrictions on FSD, I think. You know what? Let's use AI here. Let's use Gemini. Let's see if Gemini can be useful here. So let's ask it a question. How hard would it be for Tesla's ROBOTAXI to scale across the USA given regulatory issues? Google Gemini is going to be like, well, if there are white people in the cars, then they will be restricted from driving. No, I'm just kidding. Scaling Tesla's robotaxi service across the US would be quite challenging. Inconsistent regulations, self-driving car regulations vary significantly state by state. Some states like California have established frameworks for testing and deployment. Safety concerns, regulators prioritize safety. Still under development. Approval process. Getting regulatory approval for robotaxis could be lengthy. Tell me why robotaxis could become a $1 trillion business. Let's see what the bull case is on this. Robotaxis have the potential to become $1 trillion for a few reasons. Disruption of transportation. Robotaxis could revolutionize transportation by offering convenient, on-demand, and potentially cheaper alternative to car ownership. That's a big deal, dude. If people don't have to buy a car, if they pay $100 a month for convenient Uber on demand, I mean, that's definitely a disruptive thing to the broader car ecosystem. Wider accessibility. Robotaxis could provide transportation to people that cannot drive due to age, disability, or other reasons. That's a big thing. Efficiency. Robotaxis, once perfected, could operate 24/7 without breaks, leading to higher utilization rates compared to human-driven vehicles. That's true. I mean, look, you can get an Uber at 3 a.m. to go to the airport, but if you could get a robotaxi that's just as better and cheaper than the surge pricing at that time for Uber, then yeah, that's really interesting as well. Data-driven services. Robotaxis equipped with sensors and AI could collect valuable data on traffic patterns, rider behavior, and road conditions. That's a big deal. Integration with other services. Robotaxis could become part of a larger ecosystem of on-demand services, offering seamless integration with delivery, shopping, or even entertainment systems. That's basically Uber Eats. So Sean in the chat here says this is Uber, which is really interesting, right? Does Uber become the robotaxi network that Tesla is trying to become, or does Tesla buy Uber, which Gary Black has said is not that crazy of an idea, given Uber already has like 170 million users. You know, you're basically just tapping into that distribution. Yeah, you would have to pay a hefty amount. You would probably have to pay, what's Uber worth right now? 150 billion? I would argue 160 billion. I would argue you'd probably have to pay closer to 300 billion, 250 billion. Like that would be a hefty premium, but you would have to pay that to get rid of these guys. But if you could integrate Uber into Tesla FSD, I mean, that would be, now I don't know if the regulators would ever allow that, but that's not the craziest idea. That's not the crazy idea. And then, yeah, what if Uber doesn't sell? What if Uber wants to do their own way? Because that's the thing about FSD. Once the FSD is constructed, Tesla and Elon confirmed this week they're going to license it to other companies. If they licensed it to Uber, which they couldn't discriminate against Uber, right? They couldn't say, no, we're not going to give it to you, but we're going to give it to GM and Ford. I would imagine that Uber would find a way to just get those cars to be part of their network and their fleet of cars. Or people that people that have FSD on their vehicle, they just set it up via Uber's kind of self-driving robotaxi ecosystem versus Tesla's, because they have FSD. That's all you need. If Tesla somehow allows that, which I think that could happen. And then Uber becomes the robotaxi network to an extent. Now, I think Tesla's definitely going to work hard to make sure that doesn't happen, because that would be, taking away their competitive moat when it comes to robotaxis. I'm sure there's a platform that has to be built on. There's probably some proprietary technology, but that would be interesting to see how Uber would play into that world along with Tesla, because you would know they want a piece of that as well. They could buy Lyft if Uber doesn't want to sell. That's not a bad idea. Where's Lyft at right now? Where's their market cap? Lyft is $7 billion. Yeah, Lyft has, you could argue pay $20 billion for Lyft, a little 2.5x premium. That's not that crazy either. And then you have instant access to distribution to all those users and drivers as well. Uber's down after hours? Really? Damn, dude. The market's actually... Lyft is down after hours as well. Lyft is down. Wow, Lyft's down 2%. Uber's down 2% on this shit, dude. That's crazy. Palantir 2293, Tesla 170, Robinhood 1839, SoFi 7.39, and then Uber down 1.56%. PayPal as well down 0.31%. Wow, that's crazy. This is exciting, dude. And then imagine, as Ryan Robbins says, it's integrated into the Twitter app, the X app. Dude, this could get really fun. This could get fun. If they're actually building this shit out there, this could get cool. Let's see what else people are saying on Twitter. This has got to make the Tesla fans go crazy, dude. Tesla people have to be going crazy right now. Look at this. Look at this. Elon just tweets robotaxis are coming, and then this is what he tweets after that. Without freedom of speech, we are just slaves in the matrix. I mean, like, it's kind of crazy, dude. He's just like, it's like one thing is about robotaxi, and then there's slaves in the matrix. Here's Bay Ray saying this with how good FSD 12 has been are very telling signs. Nate says funny part is he didn't put the year. Nate, it's definitely 2024, dude. It's definitely 2024. I can't believe people are actually thinking there's a controversy around the year. There's no way in hell he tweets this before August 8th, implying August 8th, 2025. Like, dude, I would bet like $1 million that's just not like, no, it's going to happen this year. It's probably not going to roll out this year, but the event is definitely happening this year. If it's not, that would just be the weirdest thing ever. Dave Lee said, going to be very exciting to see Tesla's vision for the future of transport and autonomy. Will robotaxi start production by the end of 2025? Will FSD be robotaxi ready by then? Oh boy, GM stock is down 6%. Holy crap, dude. GM's down 6% after hours. Really? No, they're not. It's April Fools. Are you looking at Google Finance? Because Google Finance has been messing up a lot with this after hour stuff. Google Finance has been horrible. They said Nvidia was down like 30% the other day. GM stock. Yeah, see, this is the problem with GM. This is the problem with Google Finance. Look at Google Finance. It's so look at this. GM down 6% after hours. Like that. I don't know what's going on with the Google engineers or something, but they're messing up the finance thing every single time. No worries, dude. No worries, Rafi. I had a feeling it was Google Finance. I had a feeling it was that. All right, that's it for me, guys. Pretty crazy news. We'll be covering this obviously on the Market Open on Monday morning and see where it goes from there. And yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff. If a robotaxi is being revealed, there's going to be quite the implications for the entire automotive industry. So we'll see how that plays out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll see you guys on Palantir Weekly tonight if you join at 11 p.m. If not, enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend. Spend some time with your family. Hopefully you guys get some good food. Go out to eat. And we'll be back Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was a big week. We got the Vlad interview done. It's out. Thank you for everyone who enjoyed it, who commented, who responded, who sent messages. The appreciation, it does not go. I do not take it for granted. It means the absolute world to me. We got that done. It's out of the way. It was a big moment. And now we got to move on to a plethora of hopefully other big moments in 2024. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. I'll see you guys Monday. Bye, guys.